Hey guys, so in this video we're going to go over my Simulacrum farming setup for crossbow. This time running it on the monk. What we're doing is pretty much just Herald of Thunder and juicing up our Herald of Thunder to pretty much just like one-shot everything. You can see the Herald of Thunder pretty much just one-shots the bosses, even on like difficulty 4, wave 15, and when you put a lot of damage into this thing, yeah, it does some pretty crazy numbers, right? Alright, a couple of disclaimers. The build that we're running this on is very expensive, probably close to like 3 mirrors at this point, and if you're looking for that OP, cheap, cost-effective Simulacrum farmer, then this is definitely not the build, right? Crossbow is very inefficient when it comes to like cost to damage and defense. But that being said, this is how I've set my character up to farm simulacrums, because I was kind of bored with mapping and decided I wanted to try simulacrum. So this is how I have basically set it up. Maybe we can try to make some budget versions or cheaper versions maybe. But yeah, let's take a look at the character. So first of all, our stats. For simulacrum farming, probably the important thing is obviously getting damage and then a lot of defense. So you can see I have about 9,500 energy shield and about 50% evasion. You definitely do want to have around 50% evasion and a very high energy shield, or maximum hit you can take, because you're going to be taking quite a lot of damage. On top of that, you do want to have a lot of recovery. So Grim Feast I found only effective all the way up to about wave 10. After that, the monsters start doing way too much damage to you, and since you are getting hit quite a bit, or at least I am, you need a way to recover your energy shield very quickly. So I did try this on other setups. So right now I'm running a pure energy shield body armor. This body armor alone costed about 180 divines. It's about like 1000 energy shield, pretty good stats. And then the rest of my gear, also the helmet, like 500 energy shield helmet and about 300 energy shield pair of boots. So with that, and then we're doing adorned scaling with the all of my jewels are pretty much just max energy shield, crit chance, crit multi. And the tree is pretty much the same as all my other builds. I've gone inspect into some more jewels over here, and a couple other things, I think. No, it's about, oh yeah, and then I grabbed the energy shield up here. So I was trying this before with a different body armor. Let's see if I can find it. This one here with like 400, 500 energy shield, evasion, energy shield hybrid body armor, and that one worked fine. I was able to clear it up to wave 15 a couple of times, but was taking quite a bit of damage. And so like I mentioned, we do need a lot of recovery in Simulacrum. So the 2 ways we're getting our energy shield back, or there's 3 ways actually. So first is Grim Feast. When we kill things, we get our energy shield. Everyone knows this. And then what we're also doing is on Galvanic Shards, I have the energy barrier support. So with this, basically, I'm just holding down Galvanic Shards the whole time. I just never let go, right? And whenever a monster hits me, or like does a big hit, it's gonna stun me. So I'm pretty much always getting this recharge, and this is pretty clutch when it comes to the later waves, like wave 13, 14, 15, when a lot of monsters just like spawn on top of you in like 5 hits at a time. You're going to get stunned, and then your recharge is going to kick in, and that's going to be pretty good. That's kind of why I wanted to push all the way up to at least 9,000 energy shield, because you can see our recovery is about 1k per second. So pretty much 1,200 energy shield recharge per second uninterrupted every time we take a big hit. So that's pretty big for recovery. And then after that, on the Herald of Thunder, I guess you could also put this on the Galvanic Shards, but anyways, we're also running the Shock Siphon. So when Herald of Thunder is killing shocked enemies, we're getting 4% of our energy shield back, and this is pretty big for sustain as well. So we have 3 sources of sustain that, combined with a very big energy shield pool, is enough to sustain pretty much all the damage we're going to be taking. So this is probably like the ultimate tank setup for crossbow, where you get 50% evasion, and just try to get as much energy shield as possible. I guess we could try to adapt this to a more mapping setup. As you can see, I'm pretty much just running Galvanic Shards. That's the only thing I'm running. I'm not even running Shock Burst rounds, because there's actually really no need, right? And you don't want to be swapping weapons around the Simulacrum and Herald of Thunder. When you juice this thing up, it does quite a bit of damage. Like the tooltip actually goes up to like 250 to 300k in combat, so pretty insane. And then we get 6 I think we get 6 bolts, right? So we get 2 from the quality, and then, yeah, 2 from the quality, and then we get 4 just from the base. And going to a level 21 is going to give you 1 additional bolt. So if you don't have a level 2120, then you're going to have 5 bolts instead of 6. Not that big of a difference. I did play on the 2020 for a long time, and then just now actually decided to go up to 2120. Alright, so one thing is we need to be shocking as much as possible, and if you've played Galvanic Shards, you probably know that this thing isn't that good at shocking, right? And so that's why I've actually kept my Choir of the Storm amulet. This thing, I think in this like specific setup, like Simulacrum, it's not super value because we don't really need the auto shock setup for shock burst rounds. That being said, this does actually apply a lot of shocks, so we're actually able to get pretty much 100% uptime on Herald of Thunder in Simulacrum. I guess the ignoring monsters' lightning resistance is very nice. It means we don't have to worry about the elemental resistance mods or anything like that. So I think in the end of the day, and also because I don't want to have to go get a new amulet just for Simulacrum farming, I don't want to change too much of my gear around, so I'm just keeping the amulet. And it seems to work out pretty good. Honestly, when I'm one-shotting these bosses, I'm starting to wonder, is it actually Herald of Thunder that's actually one-shotting these guys, or is it the combination of Herald of Thunder hitting and critting so many times, all of the Eye of Winter is going off and proccing tons of hits that are critting, and then the Galvanic Shard hits and chains and forks, and that combined with all of these greater lightning bolts that are hitting, are these things even doing damage? I mean, I don't know, but something's definitely happening, and the bosses are just getting one shot. So let's cover the skill gems for this setup. Pretty simple setup, and if you wanted to adapt this to mapping, I'll link a POB with a more general content approach. And maybe if I have time, we'll do a lower budget that's not an adorned setup, I guess. Anyways, so Greater Lightning Bolt, these skills are pretty much the same as what I always use. You don't really need to look at any of these. Unbound, Avatar, regular stuff here. Okay, so for Galvanic Shards, an Energy Barrier, Fork, Nimble Reload, because you know you don't want to be reloading when there's a bunch of monsters around you, Primal Armament, and Martial Tempo. We do need this thing to actually start killing things in order to actually get the Herald of Thunder, and then after we've killed one monster at least, then the Herald of Thunder will go off, and basically Galvanic Shards just needs to kill a white monster and then spread as much shots as possible so that the Herald of Thunder can just start hitting monsters around us, right? Okay, and then using Cast on Crit, because, well, Galvanic Shards and Heralds, specifically Herald of Thunder, the crit chance is very low. These things don't have a lot of base crit chance. You can see I'm only at about 40% crit chance. Or do they? Okay, well, at least in POB it looked really low. But anyways, so about 40% crit chance on Herald of Thunder, which actually is pretty good. And then, I'm not actually sure if this actually gets crit from your base, from your weapon. Maybe it does. It seems like it is actually getting base crit chance from my weapon. Anyways, you could probably test that out in game. But yeah, Cast on Crit, because basically Eye of Winter just pretty OP, right? And we want to spread the critical weakness stacks to all the monsters around us to get a lot of DPS. So Eye of Winter, Pierce, Inspiration, Acceleration, and Chain. So that's the Cast on Crit setup. And Emergency Reload, I actually never use this, so this isn't even really needed in the Simulacrum setup. Okay, so Herald of Thunder, Elemental Focus, Magnified Effect, Innervate, Shock Siphon, Lightning Infusion. Would like to note that I didn't even need these supports because I was playing before with like my default Herald setup, just removing the cold infusion, that kind of stuff, and I was still one-shotting the bosses. And the only thing is I put these in here, the Elemental Focus and Lightning Infusion, because I have nothing else to put in here because I'm not using Shock Burst rounds. Anyways, so don't probably even need these, and just getting a lot of damage and like crit damage and that kind of stuff. I guess my gear is pretty good, but you can still one-shot these bosses with like a tooltip like this, like 80k tooltip. Okay, and then Overwhelming Presence. This actually not even needed, but I have nothing else to run, and I have 30 extra spirit, so I'm running it. I don't think this makes that big of a difference. Maybe on the monsters have ailment threshold mods, then it is kind of nice, I guess, but not really needed. Okay, so Blink, This is quite nice to have, but not super important. You could run this on a weapon swap setup if you don't have enough spirit. But very nice because a lot of times you'll get cornered, you'll be like shooting, there's like the monsters that love to like jump on you. You can just dodge them really easily, right? So having the blink, double blink is definitely very nice for survivability, repositioning, that kind of stuff. Okay, Wind Dancer, right? Just your standard setup with precision, unbreakable, clarity, and Grim Feast. Clarity not needed. Precision, you don't need this if you have enough accuracy, but if you can, then just put it in. Okay, so that is the gems. Let's go over the gear setup. Crossbow is what I've always been using, and we have the very high energy shield gear, pretty much, with intelligence, crit chance if you can. My gloves are the same, belt is the same, amulet, still the same amulet, rings are the same rings. Oh, and yeah, you probably do want a melting maelstrom because when the bosses spawn in and your cast on shock is just going to go crazy and it's going to be kind of hard to sustain mana, so probably get the melting or the ultimate mana flask. Okay, passive tree, pretty much exactly the same as my other standard monk builds, except since I'm running a pure energy shield body armor, removed this stuff here, spectral ward and that kind of stuff, and just spec into the patient barrier area over here. The recharge time is the slower recharge time, not a big deal because we're getting our recharge with the energy barrier support, so it doesn't really matter if it's like, you know, minus 1000% slower start of energy shield recharge. Okay, so that is pretty much the build, guys. I have the link up on Mobalytics, and if you're wondering about Witchhunter, I don't know, man. Gonna be kind of rough, especially with the spirit costs. Like you see, I'm using 290 spirit, so I guess you could cut some stuff out, but gonna be kind of hard, I think. Anyways, this is just a quick dirty video of the Simulacrum setup, and we'll go into a wave 13 to 15 live Simulacrum after this. Alright, so here we are, wave 13, and let's go and see what happens. So, gotta say, guys, this setup is probably the tankiest setup for crossbow at the moment. I mean, right, like nothing can really kill me, and the only time I've actually died is because I got frozen, and I'll show you after this. There are a lot of ways we can fix freeze. I'm just kind of a little bit lazy, and it doesn't really happen often enough for me to actually like really care about it. Anyways, the bosses just kind of like spawn in and die. Pretty cool, right? And yeah, I can just pretty much just do whatever I want. Just walk around, hold down the galvanic shards, and nothing can really kill you, and you just kill everything. But with freeze, so there's two ways to go about it. You can either, the cheap way is you go for 2 points, you get 1 charm, and then you run a freeze charm. Like, I think you definitely need a stun charm, because that happens way more often than freeze. Anyways, so that's really easy, right? 2 points, right? Pretty easy to do that. Or you spend 4 points and come down here. So 100% of maximum energy shield as freeze threshold. And I did try this on like maps with their like have increased freeze build up and damage is extra cold, and it didn't get frozen like 1 time. So yeah, because we have such high energy shield pool, pretty much not gonna get frozen. Anyways, so that's how you can fix freeze. But this is like what do you call it, the original like idea I had with galvanic shards. Like, I just actually only wanted to use galvanic shards, right? I didn't want to have to like swap weapons or anything, and this is just kind of like that. You just hold down galvanic shards and you're just like Space Marine, right? Nothing can kill you, and you just kind of blast everything. So pretty fun for Simulacrum farming, and maybe we can sort of make an adaptation for mapping, I guess, because you could probably blast map bosses too with this setup without even using shock burst rounds, right? If you have like your Herald of Thunder set up, but I don't know, maybe not, but we'll see. But yeah, pretty much free Simulacrum on the setup. I guess we do have pretty good gear, but anyways. So this is wave 14. Oh wait, we should look at the Atlas. Yeah, we do have a tier 4 Simulacrum. And yeah, blink, very nice in those situations, right? Just like blink away from things, especially when you're cornered or if the bosses spawn in a weird spot. You can like dodge their abilities and that kind of stuff. Alright, here's the bosses, and let's go and blast them. Alright, pretty easy. Oh, and we got the flask. Nice. I bought like 30 simulacrums, and I've only gotten 2 flasks, and I think I've ran 20 of them. I don't know if that's the actual like drop rate, but anyways. Yeah, thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.